thank you, everyone. And also, I want to say thank you to Eugene, to Misty, to Annie, to the whole team. It's at least my first Culturati. It's your first Culturati.
My first Culturati, ditto.
And it's been such an amazing experience so far. I think these true community events are becoming more and more scarce, and this just has been feeling so good. So amazing job putting this together. Maybe a round of applause for these guys.
I think the vibes are good too, so welcoming. Alandra, Katie, Dean, and I were on the Sprinter here from the airport, and immediately Lee introduced me to everybody. Open, wants to talk, wants to know who you are, interested in you as human. So thank you to everyone for the big open welcome arms.
Absolutely. It's also weirdly my first time here in Austin. Anybody here from Austin? Well, my first impression, I had a few hours to go have a drink and hear some live music on Saturday. It's an incredible place. You're lucky bastards. Lucky bastards.
Music pouring out of the bars.
Amazing. I'm also excited to be speaking with this guy here, Adam. Adam is Director of Culture and People Analytics at AMC. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Practicing it all night. And I heard Adam speak for the first time last year at our customer summit, and he was walking everybody through their amazing transformation. It's a digital employee experience transformation. It sounds like a big word, but the AMC theaters, you know AMC, right? They're this little local network of cinemas, and they're known for creating experiences, the best experiences, especially if you're a movie geek like me. And what they did in terms of really taking the employee experience to the next level, not only to people in the HQ, but to people, technicians, or people selling popcorn in the theaters. It's really inspiring. We'll try to bring that to life by showing you how that actually looks like. And before that, I'll talk a little bit about the problem itself. But in an AI-driven event, which is every event today, I like to make it a little bit human. So a word about me. So I'm Gidi. I live in Barcelona, Spain for the last 10 years or so with my wife, Paola, and my two beautiful children, Maya and Noam, 6 and 9. Noam doesn't want to ever speak to me again because I sent him a video from the live music thing, and he says that it's just unjust that I didn't take him with. But I told him we'll fix that. And before that, we lived in Boston for 3 years until about the third winter when Paula told me that another winter like this, and this is turning into a long-distance relationship, and we found ourselves back in Spain. I'm a marketer, but I'm more of a storyteller, the way I see myself. I've always been very passionate about communication, about building how that manifests itself in culture, and I'm lucky enough to work in a company that dedicates itself to that mission. So with that, work's biggest challenge, at least as I see it, is related to AI, but is not actually AI. Efficiency is a big challenge. We're at a market moment. We talked about that over dinner yesterday. Amazing things are being made possible, but I don't think efficiency has ever been the biggest problem. I think that the biggest problem, on the Microsoft panel, they mentioned it before, is actually disconnection. How human work feels in an increasingly artificial work environment. And as they show the statistics in that, Matthew showed it in the Microsoft panel before, it's actually becoming a bigger crisis than ever before. We're talking about, how do people feel? Do they feel bought in? Do they trust leadership with authenticity becoming so scarce? Research shows, and any research, this is just one that I picked to show, that we're at a 10-year low in the US in terms of engagement. 4 out of 5 employees are emotionally checked out. That's a huge number. If you ever read any CEO or founder book in history, it comes down to that X factor, right? The culture, the way people feel, and that is diminishing. It's also easy to imagine why this is happening when we think about some of the presentations today. Authenticity, hearing real things from real people, fear about being made redundant, losing your job, a lot of change with lacking communication. I wanted to share this. Some of you might have seen it on our virtual event with Culturati, where I presented with Misty here a few weeks ago. This is a research that we did at WorkVivo. I think it's the biggest frontline research of its kind last year. And we asked frontline workers how they feel at work. We discovered a frontline gap, which is how we named the report. And I knew there would be a gap, Adam. You were like astonished when I told you that. But 1 out of 2 frontline employees, they're not connected to their leadership. They don't know who their CEO is. They have no idea who they're even working for. It can't get less connected than that. And it's not only about feelings, it's actually an economic disaster. If there's one consensus that every analyst on the globe agrees with, is that nothing costs us productivity, business results, more than low engagement. 300 and something percent less, more attrition in less engaged companies, 81% more absenteeism, 20% less productivity, and the list goes on, and it's getting worse. And then enters AI. We're gaining amazing efficiencies. We talked about it throughout all the sessions, but we're also losing touch. Because of that fear of change, trust, the human authenticity that is becoming a little bit scarce. And why is this happening? So in a word, and then we'll go into your story, Adam, and listen to what you are trying to solve, which is related to all of this. I think people changed a lot since COVID. Expectations change. Generations get younger. Gen Z, 30% by 2030. We all interviewed these people, right? You know what I'm talking about. They're looking for meaning. They're looking for other things. AI comes in. Such a turmoil, but comms didn't really change. We're still communicating like it's 2010. Big employee of the month boards in the shop, or an endless email so polished that nobody actually reads. Intranets.
Write some good emails out there. Good job. Gold star for emails.
Email is the future, Adam. Email is the future. So what do people expect? They want to hear from leaders directly. And what do they get? The messages polished, passed down. They want to feel part of something authentic, real, but everything feels more and more scripted. It's actually harder to trust that a message was actually written by a human. And AI and tools, you want AI and tools that empower you, just like our experience as consumers. But in reality, restrictions and friction and too many chatbots and outdated systems, and you actually feel less empowered than ever before. You don't have that access. So the system needs to change. The system of communication and culture needs to change to something that is more designed for today, and that has to be a dramatic transformation, not just like marginal optimization. And now it's enough me talking philosophy, and Adam, if you could bring us into your story and tell us a little bit about that zero to hero that you were able to create. Would love to hear that.
I'll give you the drama, yeah.
And I'm going to give this to you. Use it carefully. Okay?
All the power.
So it has 2 buttons. You're going to handle that, right? Go for it.
Do you have a manual? Thank you. I've got the power now. You got to start with your family. I'm going to go with mine. This is them yesterday. They went to the zoo as soon as I left for the airport. It's my wife, Mary Kate. We have a 2-year-old little Otis down there in the bottom. He's ready for his first haircut, if you can tell. And then Felix up there, who was very excited about his new shark sunglasses. So just at the beginning of the journey. If you were at dinner or if we've talked yet, that's what I'm interested in talking about is your kids. And I'd love to talk to you about them. So yeah, look, our story is similar to many folks. You know, this is not my usual crowd. Usually I talk to a lot more retail frontline folks. So if any of you have a background in that, I think you understand the disconnected workers, right? But I think you're all experiencing this, right? We heard in the last session, trust and communication, and hearing it often. Same deal. Look, we're just going to talk about how to build trust, and I'd argue we found a little bit of a different path than the way we used to do it, and it's working for us really well. So we were disconnected. We're 30,000 employees in the US and in Europe. About 16,000 of them of our employees are frontline. They work in the cinemas, the theaters, and they don't have an email, right? They don't have there's no way to reach them. We communicate them like most operational organizations do, top down through their managers in the building. That's the most important role in their day-to-day lives is their manager in their theater, and that's how they're receiving their information. So we knew, our population's changing a little bit. In about 2017, our CHRO found a product with the folks at Meta at an event, I think actually in Texas, much like this one. Got to talking with that team and said, I think there might be a new way to communicate. We're like, okay, cool, let's check this out. Presented it to our executive committee. At the time, we felt it was additive. They're really busy. So we started small, introduced it in Europe. Then 2020 hit, and we had no way to talk to our people, right? We had all of our people who were no longer in the theaters that needed to, we wanted to express our human side, our values, our culture was so important at that time, right? We are institutions in these communities, and we wanted to be able to live out our values, couldn't even reach them. So meanwhile, across the pond in Europe, they were sending out messages every day. They were able to reach these folks. So as soon as we got back in the theaters reopened, we set to this work pretty quickly in 2021 and launched a platform that I'll show you several pictures of. But it's an employee app for all of our people, communicating in a way that they know, that they understand, and we've really stepped into their world. And then about a year ago, we teamed up with WorkVivo and Zoom, and we thought we were pretty cool. We had like 74% activation in our tool, which 16,000 of these folks are part-time workers, right? We're not their whole lives, but 74% of them were voluntarily saying, I'd like to be a part of this conversation. Now, 94% are on, and even more so, we've got about 96% of our leaders of every theater on this platform voluntarily every single week, many of them every single day. We've got about 80% of our managers and 60% of our crew on this platform every week, right? So I lead HR technology for AMC, and it's big for me to have tools that people want to use, not just kind of suffer through, right? We all know there's a couple tools anybody will put up with, how I get paid and how I clock in, right? But I want to make tools that people don't have to just tolerate, that they want to live in. And so I'm very proud of that experience that our people are having. So let me take you through what this looks like. So we just closed up our leadership conference last week in Tampa Bay. Giddy was emailing me a lot about this presentation. I said, man, I'm busy, soaking in the sun.
He didn't even say that. He just flat ignored me.
Yeah. Unread. And this is Adam Aaron, our CEO, shared so many fantastic messages, culture, values, his story, the business of the last year. Many of you have had these types of events. You invest a lot of money, a lot of resources in doing these. These used to typically be shared by the 1,000 people who were in attendance. Now, these are shared. What I'm showing you here is every single one of our employees, I left my phone in my bag, my main prop, has access to this employee app. We call ours AMC All Access, because that's what it does. This first point is pretty simple. If you have ever worked with frontline employees, you may not put yourself in their shoes as often as you need to understand that they just don't have the tools that many desk workers typically have. Think about your company, all the tools you use. Does everyone have access to any of those? Does everyone have access to one of them? And I don't mean the one where they get harassment training and all of that. They want a little bit more, right? This is a tool that all of our people get to enjoy. So even if you weren't one of the 1,000 general managers who were there, you were the crew, you were the managers in the building, you get to hear Adam, you get to connect with him. So these people don't even know their CEO. We're hearing intimate stories of his last year and everything he's gone through and the conversations he's having with the studios, and they can participate in them. There's no gatekeeping. I don't need you to be some specific leader to have this. Anybody can have in it. And as you're seeing there, it's a conversation, right? So that's the other big key of what we've done is we've turned these communications into conversations.
I think it's amazing. Somebody asked me yesterday over dinner. I'm from Israel. I live outside of Israel for the past 15 years. And we live in Barcelona, but my kids know my parents very, very well. For them, they're their grandparents. They talk to them every day. And that before WhatsApp and all this world of digital wasn't possible at all. But it's not the same, but the connection is there. When they see my parents, they both cry. They think they're present in each other's life. When they see your CEO walking into that cinema once maybe in their entire career, They feel like they have already seen that person. They know how his voice sounds. They know what he stands for. They know his energy. I think that little change is humongous. So yes, it's their first IT connection to the actual company, but just hearing a message like that is transformational by itself, even before anything else.
This is just some of the scroll through of different parts of our application and really bringing out the best in. Look, social media had a big week. There was some clear findings on some of the worst of social media. We don't call this social media. It's the best of an employee experience application where our people are able to get behind the work that they love, the values that they love, the culture you love. You talk about the experience, Giddy. I mean, we want our people to be able to step into the experience across the globe of who AMC is from day one. In our leadership conference we just had, we had a few of our general managers share the successes they've had, and each of our theaters has a theater space. So they create their own home on this platform, and that's the place that our crew go first. One of our managers in Phoenix said, look, we've changed from giving, instead of a physical tour first, we give a virtual tour first, so that they can set up their account, know their world, immediately see faces, immediately see people, not waiting to work with them on shifts, and they get to step into it. And the conversation never really stops. The communications never really stop. We have Alexis here, who's in our food and beverage team. She recently was promoted up from the theaters, and she did a story on there through one of our belonging councils, and talked about her career journey, her imposter syndrome that she faced, and just gave words of advice to folks. And they blew up in the comments, right? These are their people. They get to connect with them. They get to have the conversation.
They get to respond.
They get to respond, and we don't have to create everything. That's been another big shift for us. That's helped us scale this for Frontline. There is no massive team. I'm really excited for all of you that have staffed your internal comms folks with like 50 people. We have one, her name's Abby, and she's an expert consultant, right? So all of you who are trying to reformat your teams, we talk a lot about how the organizations is changing. I love the T example. Abby and our team are just expert consultants. This is a podcast that a group of our associates started. Jamal there is a general manager in Philly. He's led this. They've got hundreds of episodes by this point. I am featured in a few. You can listen. And just really vulnerable, incredible conversations. And again, it is not a communication with a message put out. These cultural message that we're hearing from the last presenters, incredible, authentic voice. This authentic voice comes from our people. It seems that there's nothing that they're not willing to touch nowadays in order to step out, be courageous. We had a fantastic stories they called Journeys That Shape Us, of our associates who have had their different immigration experiences and any of the struggles they faced in this last year alone, to bring that to our entire associate population at our leadership conference. And that kind of conversation happens on our platform all the time.
In Work Vivo, a lot of customers have the fear, what happens when I open up? What are they going to say? And they could choose to not open up at all. There are different levels of how open you want the communications to be. I would say that in almost 100% of the cases, they would be positively surprised. Nothing really, really bad. You'd have control if somebody says something out of line. A lot of control. But these things rarely happen. What does happen is that when you give them trust, you discover amazing responsibility, you discover amazing social carriers, amazing content.
People are human, right?
And it becomes fluid. You get less control, but you actually get a system that's alive.
There was a lot of that fear, right? It was a journey. Like I said, we went at it in 2017, 18, decided not to do it, and then we came back around quick in 2021. But there was that fear, right? And it's a transition. I'm not going to give you any false impression that this type of communication is easy. But you see these podcasts, you see these video series. You've got folks like our CIO is there. He's having what he calls Jersey Talk. He just jumps in a room. He happens to be wearing a Kansas City sports team jersey pretty much any day. And our leaders have stepped into the world of how Gen Z communicates, right? You said 30% of the workforce is going to be Gen Z. Look, I'm the ghost of Christmas future up here. 73% of our workforce is Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So this is our world. And let me just tell you, they want direct, authentic, transparent communication. That is the quickest path to trust for us. So step into their world, communicate in a way. We're just done with campaigns. The trust campaign over 12 weeks of why you should trust your executive team, it doesn't work anymore. And I don't want to write it. And I don't even care if AI writes it. I don't want to do it. They just want you to get in a room. We got celebrities too, which is a bonus. We've got Pamela Anderson came into our office. Gore Verbinski's up there. The Ready or Not 2 team films our product, right? So it's easy for us to have fun. But any company can have fun on it. ServiceNow gets so many celebrities. That team, man, they bring in the heavy hitters, yeah. But our leaders are stepping into this authentic, direct, transparent communication. This is our head of ops, our head of facilities, and one of our F&B leaders. And Jennifer, our head of ops, does a monthly results video every single month, just jumps in the room. It's one take, which if that scares you, it scared me a lot. One take, you mess up. Oh, I have had some data faux pas in that room, and I just had to eat it. They don't edit it. They're having a conversation with you. Cynthia, in the middle there, is actually delivering some not-so-fun news. We had some movies that didn't perform like we wanted to last year, and it meant that we were going to have to slow down CapEx and reduce some facilities expenses. So instead of people just discovering that their carpets weren't going to get cleaned, she jumped in the room with Jennifer and just told them, look, this is what's happening. This is why it's going to happen. We got to band together. You are going to have facilities requests be denied.
Truth, real.
Yeah, they're not running away from those conversations.
In worst case, you can blame Abby from communications.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. Not even a part of this, Kitty. Yeah, don't throw Abby under the bus. But to your point, it wasn't an immediate transition, right? This is the world that so many of our employees were used to receiving communications, but our leaders had to step into this. And it started with just a few posts after they visited a theater, right? Just a picture. Now they're jumping in, given 10 minutes unscripted, going over results, talking about everything. Our CHRO started a video series, Your Seat at the Table, where she basically just recreates her, instead of having private conversations every Friday with senior leadership team members, she films them. And this is how we released our new approach to culture, our new initiative to what we call Raise the Bar HR, a lot of the investments we're making in our managers. Look, this gives people belonging immediately. And if any of you, I know a lot of you are used to frontline organizations that have incredibly high turnover. We were that organization too. We were about 140% turnover right out of the pandemic. We're in the 70s now. People are sticking around. They are choosing to stay longer, which means they want this training. They want this exposure. They want this education. They want this conversation playing out right in front of them. And so we just told them that. We said that, hey, you're giving us, our managers are here like a year and a half longer than they ever were in our company. So we said, what are we going to do with that time, right? And we started the conversation with them. It's hugely vulnerable. And not everybody's into, the totally unscripted. Our CFO, Sean Goodman, is a good sport here. And this is where Abby does get involved. So your expert consultants, you reserve it for the folks who want you to bring a camera in their office. And that's okay. Sean gives us a great 60-second update at the end, after every earnings call. He just lays it out. And again, this is not that director's meeting that you call everybody in for all of the vice presidents in your org. Anybody can watch this. Any employee, any theater, any associate can watch this. Now, if there's any movie buffs out there, there's an obvious, we missed the boat on the title for this segment. Is it clear to anybody? Sean in 60 seconds, yeah. Still upset about that. That was Abby's fault. I'll throw Abby under the bus for that.
No, you're throwing Abby under the bus. Poor Abby.
Phil is on our board of directors, Phil Later. You get these emails from folks who might be on your advisory boards, use your products or services, met a member of your team. Incredible. We're able to just throw that quote onto a post, share. The managers that he's talking about here got tagged. They're celebrated publicly in front of all their people. And the leadership communications just go all the way down to the theaters. This is a very tenured general manager, live streams from his office, right? We have so many of them that just do this now. They just live stream the updates for the week instead of that huddle. They're still going to meet with you in person, but what if you didn't work that week? What if you just want to watch and know what's up in the building? Very vulnerable, incredible move by our leaders. And visible recognition. I'll take you back to Tampa for our last example here. In Tampa, we have what we call GMODIs, GM of the Year awards. Usually before Work Vivo, before All Access, again, an incredible event for the 1,000 people that are there. Cassie and Dave here, their theaters got to watch this happen live. Those are their hearts, those cheers, those reactions. They got to see them thank them. Their families got to watch it. Their moms, their sisters, their spouses. It's incredible to be able to share in this. And again, this is the path that our people are used to communicating, used to receiving information, and we just stepped into it and embraced it. And boy, are they showing up for it.
Amazing. Adam, I always tell you this, like we have a platform, and you could use this platform, another platform, build your own platform, but the platform is just a vehicle. It will never get 96% activation.
94. We'll shoot for 96.
You should push for 96, yeah. Adam. But it wouldn't get anywhere close to it if the company is not willing to jump in, and tip their toes in something like this. If leadership is not willing to play ball, if you really, really don't have the intention to make that change. So it's that mix of technology that puts everybody in the same place digitally, something we could not have done 15 years ago, and we can now. It's even better with AI. And the intention of actually being less in control and moving from that broadcast to something democratized, flat, that actually...
Well, that's what Katie was talking about, right? Intent, be clear about your intent. That's our culture of values. Be clear about it from day one. When we're implementing AI or new technologies, we have the same conversations about our data privacy policies. Why don't we're going to apply those in the same way we did with yesterday's technology. Same thing with your culture, your values. I'm going to implement this technology the same way I did with my culture and my values yesterday, right?
Absolutely.
And that path to authentic, direct, transparent equals trust. If you have and I'm sorry if there's going to be a talk about this later and they're going to do a whole Gen Z, Gen Alpha lingo thing, cancel that campaign. They don't want to see you pander them. They don't want to see you be funny. If you're not funny, that's not authentic for you, and it's okay. I think a lot of leaders go to that. Like, let's joke about Gen Z. No, don't do it, please. Don't do it. Don't. It will not work. Just show your kids. Come on. And this is going to be the path that I think is going to help us introduce AI in a really successful way with an organizational culture, right? Culture has to be the voice of how we introduce AI at AMC. We've got two populations that are really informing how we talk about AI. We're 73% Gen Z, Gen Alpha. And if you haven't asked a member of that generation lately, you should. They'll tell you exactly the carbon output by each of these requests. They'll talk to you about the water. They'll talk to you about the data centers. They need to be able to see themselves in that conversation because there's good things to say about all of those, right? And then we're adjacent to the creative community, right? And that community has been clear on its stance to AI. So if we can't use a platform like this to get it done and talk about that intent and talk about that care, I love that, model coach care, then our people won't see themselves and they won't embrace that technology. We won't get any value out of it.
Absolutely. Eugene made me swear that we're going to actually mention some takeaways, otherwise this session is not worth anything. So we will just like, you just saw all of it in your examples, Adam, but just going over it quickly, the technology part, one, is principles for like 5 principles for a new system of culture or communications. One platform, digital platform that everybody is in, CEO to intern, office to frontline. Whatever you choose to use, it needs to exist. Communication is a two-way stream, not just a broadcast. People want to have a voice, increasingly so. Communication needs to work like people are used to communicate in our private lives, not just an email or a big billboard somewhere, but modern media, async communications, podcast, live streams, social media, mobile notifications, and the list goes on. You need to communicate to people like modern people. Leaders, that's very important, that communicate directly. I actually think that the ones that won't would be very irrelevant very quickly.
Yep.
It happens in politics, right?
Yep.
You don't see these commercials on TV anymore. You connect on, on X or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not that polished, but you could feel the pulse and they could feel you. And that's the only way it's going to happen.
If you don't think it's coming, you're just not paying attention to the next generation of work. It's already here for us. Anybody in the front line will tell you that.
And finally, recognition, values. If they're stuck in a handbook or an onboarding video, it means nothing. People want to feel it every day. And that's the way that it comes to life. It needs to be visible in every communication. Me giving you an online shout out or attaching something that we're announcing to a value, so people really have it at their fingertips. The extra one here is a human first, AI assisted. We have a lot of AI in the platform. We're actually building that enterprise AI that is going to be the assistant that hopefully will orchestrate the rest of the bots that you have. And the reason this will find itself in WorkVivo is the fact that 94% are already using it.
Yeah, I mean, it's accessible, so that's big alone. If any of you are rolling out AI technologies and not all of your employees have access to them, I mean, that's square one. And then that employee experience platform, that human side, I know that's going to be our secret sauce with you all.
Anyways, we're way over time.
I know, we broke a culturati rule for questions. So I'll let you tell.
We're going to let people find you all and shake you down with
questions.
questions.
We've got a whole workshop after that we can do
Excellent.
questions.
So you'll have a chance to go deeper with them. Let's give these guys a hand. Thank you all so much.